This week is the anniversary of something that happened on April 1st, 1996, that will live in baseball lore forever. And it taught us how to handle a situation and how not to handle a situation. Coming up on Sports Talk with Dad right now. Welcome back to Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who should have been in attendance for the movie Major League, but failed miserably, my dad, Tim. You were there. You lived an hour away and could have been there.
Actually, less than an hour away, and we're really going to start the show that way?
I wanted to start with violence.
Yeah. It's probably one of the biggest regrets I've got.
For those of you that don't know this, Major League was filmed in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at County Stadium when it was still open. You lived in Jefferson, Wisconsin at the time.
I did.
You knew the filming was going to happen, which happened at 2 a.m, by the way. You could have been there and didn't go.
I failed. My only excuse. I mean, I had to work, but I could have taken the day off. I should have been there. Your mom and I should have just went.
Yeah, you should have.
Failed. But
as long as you admit that you failed, it's okay. I will never forgive you. And I wasn't even alive yet.
No, you weren't.
And I'll still never forgive you. Do you think there was a sober person in the crowd?
Not one.
For that game?
Not one. Remember where you were.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin at 2 a.m.
Yes.
That's where you were.
Yes.
The fact that people were awake is amazing.
And the reason that we're wearing Major Leagues, you've got Ricky Vaughn on. I've got Jake Taylor because I love Jake Taylor in that movie. Tom Berenger was outstanding.
Tom Berenger, I did not realize how amazing of an actor he is because I had only seen him in Major League. And then all of a sudden I watched Platoon. Yes. And I was like, my goodness, that is not Jake Taylor.
No.
That is a vicious, disgusting, vile human being on screen right now.
He's been in great movies. He was in The Big Chill. He was outstanding in that.
He was in The Big Chill?
Yes. Yeah, he's the guy who was supposed to jump into the convertible.
Oh, that was Tom Berenger.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time. That's a good movie.
It's a great movie. Anyways, the Brewers did a very classy thing. Yesterday which would have been Monday, was opening day for the Brewers.
Yes.
First time in 54 years without Bob Uecker up there to call the first pitch. They did a really touching video honoring Bob. It was hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
It was, there wasn't a dry eye in American Family Field yesterday.
A legend is gone, a very beloved legend, but if all went according to plan, he is home now. There's no reason for tears. He has gone on to a better place where he gets to call baseball games for all of eternity.
Well, and you have to celebrate a life like that. I mean, talk about getting every ounce out of life you could. Uecker is a definition of that.
Well, the best thing from that speech was on the patch it has when he was born to when he passed away, and somebody made the comment saying there's a dash in the middle there. But, oh, man, what a dash it was.
You know who that was?
No.
Pat Hughes.
It was Pat. That's right. It was Pat Hughes that said that.
And
that got me teary-eyed.
Yes.
What a great line.
Great line, and it applied so perfectly to Bob because he just loved life and enjoyed it, and it was great. Without Bob Uecker in Major League, nobody remembers that movie.
No. He was the only casting for that.
Yes.
The only one you could think of. But speaking of movies.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I heard something, and it made me think of how generational this could actually be.
Okay.
So Alcatraz. You were alive when it first opened.
Prison outside of San Francisco.
On the Rock.
Yes.
There was 3 people that escaped.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if they lived or died. You are convinced that they lived. I couldn't care less. But there were movies made about that. 2 in particular. Escape from Alcatraz.
Starring Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood starred in that. And The Rock.
Starring Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery.
Correct. I'm going to make you choose. Which movie was better?
They're completely different kinds of movies.
Pick one.
One's an adventure. One's a dramatization.
They're both about Alcatraz.
They are.
And they are in that category. You have to pick one. Which one was the better?
Love them both. I will say that. If I've got to pick one, I think it'd be Escape from Alcatraz.
See, and that is what I thought you'd say. Because I think that this is very generational. Because every conversation I've had about this, and I intentionally haven't talked to you about it because I wanted to see what you said. The older generation always picks Escape from Alcatraz. The younger generation always picks The Rock. The Rock, to me, is the better movie, hands down. The Rock is a classic. It is a perfect movie from beginning to end.
Yeah, it's a great adventure movie. I think if you grew up when I did, Escape from Alcatraz, people were debating it, whether they lived, whether they died.
Well, it captured the imagination.
It really did.
My generation have no clue. Weren't around.
Right,
Nobody I know. I don't think you were alive when they escaped from Alcatraz.
I wasn't. It was before I was born, but heard all about it. Love history, as you know, so I studied it. Heard something interesting about this not long ago, was that they think they survived because they probably had another associate or
Somebody
that
on the
helped them.
outside.
Yeah, that was in a boat out into the bay, so they didn't have to go all the way across.
I mean, what is it? 3 miles?
It's not that far, but it's really cold water,
It's really rough water.
really rough, shark
Lot of
infested.
sharks.
Yeah, so people were wondering. I've watched, I think History Channel did a documentary on it. They did facial recognition from a photograph of these two guys against their prison pictures.
It could be. The only thing is,
Perfect
though,
match.
it's like with how cold that water is, like hypothermia is going to start to set in.
That's why if there was a boat there, that's the only way you
it
can
makes
do
sense.
it. Yeah.
Only way it makes sense
The Rock, on the other hand,
is perfect.
I mean, everybody in that movie was great.
Well, and here's what I think it is too. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not, but correct me if you think I am. Movies back then moved a lot slower. A lot slower. There were people
Yes.
that walked from a 30 feet away in a car just to fill space. I mean, there was a lot more space filling. I remember watching a John Wayne movie. Pick one. They're all the same.
They are not.
But John Wayne, literally, I watched him jump from a porch into hay and then get up. I'm like, why was that?
That's McClintock.
It could be any of them.
No,
They're all the same
Well,
movie.
look at movies like The Godfather. They took a long time to develop.
But there was a reason that took a long time to develop. There's no reason to watch John Wayne jump from a porch onto a bale of hay that was really a 2-foot drop that he could have just landed on his feet from. Like, there's no point to be that in there. The Rock is one of the newer age movies. It's a lot of action. It's much quicker. It's much faster. And so for me to sit through a movie like The Great Escape, it drags.
It wasn't The Great Escape. It was
Not The Great Escape. It was The Escape
from Alcatraz. Yes,
Thank you.
because it showed how they made the paper mache heads. It showed how they got out. It showed the entire process they went through.
It's just slower movies.
It was.
And it's hard to sit through some of those old movies. It's hard to sit through any John Wayne movie because once you've seen one, you've seen them all.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, it's
They're
not.
all the same.
They are not.
All the Clint Eastwood Westerns are the same. I
Would
mean,
you-
basically, if you've seen a Western from the 50s and 60s, you've seen them all. There's no reason to watch any more of them.
Okay. The people who are watching are going to slam you for that because
They're
it's not
not.
true.
It is true.
No.
Because I've seen a lot of them because of you, and they're all the same.
No, they're not.
Every last one of them.
No. The
Guy-
shootist is different than McClin.
Okay, I'll tell you exactly how they go. I'm
We're-
going to explain a 50s and 60s Western. Mysterious guy walks into a town. Never seen him before. Things happen, and all of a sudden, he rides off into the sunset to never be seen again.
Why do you like The Rock?
See?
No, that's
it's
not true.
exactly how
No.
it goes. Every last one of
Not
them.
true,
They're
but-
all the same. The Rock is great just because there's a great story behind it, a story that makes sense.
Could happen.
And it's people who have access to these type of weapons because the guy was very high up in the military. He had clearance for all this stuff. It makes sense why he would go to this route because he saw a bunch of people die and the military just said, we're not paying for you.
Well,
And there's the adventure through it.
It was a post-Vietnam movie.
Very much so post-Vietnam. You know what? That's actually a great way to look at it.
It was at the end of it. He saw a lot of people who just died and their families were never compensated.
Yep.
He knew where the money was hidden.
Right.
He wanted to get these people paid, but he was never going to allow millions of people to die.
No, and at the end, he moved it and ended up fighting with the people he was working with.
Yes.
Don't yell at me for spoilers. It's a 30-year-old movie.
I was going to say, if there can be no spoilers about The Rock. Anybody who hasn't seen The Rock right now is living under a rock.
And I've ruined nothing. You still need to go and watch it. But this is a sports show.
Yes, it is.
And we need to talk sports. And there is something that is taking over the imagination of sports fan and bringing attention back to baseball like it hasn't seen in a very long time. The Torpedo Bats.
You mean the fad that is the torpedo bat?
Here's the thing, though. This is the first major equipment change that we've seen since the 60s or 70s.
Probably since the hinged glove.
That's what I was meaning. Yeah, the hinge glove is the last change that we've really seen in baseball.
And for those people who don't think that changed, catchers went from catching two-handed to one-handed. That's led to the great big gloves that all outfielders wear now.
Yes, it completely changed the way people fielded baseball. The only other major change we had was in 1920 when it went from the dead ball to the live ball era. So this is a big change.
It's really not. These torpedo bats, they took weight off the tip and they put it back down towards the trademark more. Reason being, I think more guys get jammed than they do hit it off the toe of the bat. These guys are really, really good. Don't forget, it's like 400 milliseconds they have from the time the ball leaves to the time it gets there.
Right.
They still have to hit a round ball with a round bat and hit it square.
You do, but the thing you're starting to see is the bat speed change.
I'm going to need to see a lot more evidence. Yes, in the opening days, bat speed was increased. It's also when the guys are freshest, they're not beat down. Talk to me in September, and let's see if the bat speeds are still up.
Why do you have to be a killjoy?
I'm not. I'm just being realistic. I want to see these bats might help a punch and Judy hitter. They certainly show.
Okay, explain punch and Judy hitter.
Guy that's going to hit base hits rather than hit the long ball.
All right. Would you say Tony Gwynn was a punch and Judy hitter then?
No, Tony Gwynn was probably one of the top two hitters to ever play the game.
Okay.
Ted Williams being the other one.
You use that phrase a lot, and I don't think we've ever explained it on this show.
What, punch and Judy hitter?
Yes.
It comes from the little puppets they used to have, Punch and Judy, where you're just kind of whacking each other with a light bat.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, honestly is.
I had no idea where that ever came from.
It used to be I think they still do it at Renaissance fairs, but Punch and Judy were these two little.
Like from the Santa Claus.
Yes.
The movie The Santa
that's
Claus.
It. Those are Punch and Judy. So, there you go. Anyway.
A squirrel moment there. Sorry.
By putting more of the wood, and by the way, it still conforms to the 2.61 inches a bat can be. They just put it down towards the handle more. So if a guy gets jammed, theoretically, the ball's going to still have a chance to get through.
You changed the sweet spot.
It did. And look, after the first week, saw a lot of home runs. Aaron Judge hasn't used it because he doesn't need to use it.
He does not.
Shortstop for the Reds,
Ellie Cruz.
Probably the most electric player in the major leagues.
First time. Monday night.
Did very well with it. 7 RBIs.
2 home runs. 4 for 5.
He could have done that with a regular bat, just for the record. I love the fact that baseball's being talked about for this.
Yes.
Because it's a good thing that baseball's being talked about.
It's the first positive thing we've heard about baseball
for a
in a
long
while.
time. And there's a lot of interest in it. People are tuning in to see these bats. The rest of the league the Yankees have it. De La Cruz has it.
Yes.
For the Reds.
16 players are using it right now. 5 of them are Yankees.
It's going to take a month for them to get it to everybody who wants to try it now.
Because every bat is made individual for the player.
Correct.
Definitely.
Yeah, these were designed by a MIT graduate, PhD.
Well, they were actually designed by a coach of the Yankees in 2023. He saw people were getting jammed. He's like, what if we move the sweet spot? And then he contacted all these people.
Okay.
And then it was created.
Good for the Yankees for having that guy who noticed it.
Yeah.
Who used his head.
Not on the Yankees anymore.
No, he's down in Miami now, right? Yeah. It's a great thing. And it's an innovation that it's been fun to watch.
I think this bat has a lot to do with it. I really do.
Time will tell.
I think what you're going to start to see more as well, we've been talking about the shift a lot. What better way to get rid of the shift than to change the sweet spot on the bat? Because, I mean, if you're within it and somebody's pulling a shift on you, just change the sweet spot. So then all of a sudden, the barrel comes down and that ball's heading a different direction.
Well, and what have we said forever? The best way to beat the shift is
Hit it in the
to
opposite
other
direction.
field. So maybe this bat will allow them to do that.
I don't think you'd see this many home runs if it wasn't for this bat. Because again, you've changed the sweet spot where the ball's being. Now these, even the creator said, these are also great athletes.
These are
look. The guy specifically said after the Ellie De Cruz
right.
said, "Look where those balls were. This has more to do with the hitter than it does with the bat." At the same time, they're hitting these balls where the sweet spot wasn't,
That's true.
and now it is.
Well, and it used to be when you'd hit it down by the trademark, more times than not, the bat would break.
Correct. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
That's the biggest
with
part of the
this
bat.
one. What I'm waiting to see happen is when somebody hits it off the end of the bat with this thing,
It's gonna hurt
it's going to hurt a lot.
real bad.
Yes. Because when you hit off the end of the bat, it's a stinger to start with.
It is.
And now there's just not that
But
much
don't you
bat
think
down there.
because the wood's thicker, that's going to absorb more of the impact from hitting it off the end of the bat?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I
I just thought about that now.
We're going to find out.
I think it's a great innovation. And I think what it's showing as well is that baseball has been going away from the starting pitcher. You and I have talked about it a long time, right? And they've just been throwing. They're not pitching.
Right. They don't pitch
And we
anymore.
found a bat that gets you faster bat swing to get around on that ball quicker.
Mhm.
It's going to change the sweet spot. So if they're trying to throw inside, it's not an impact anymore. And hitting has now caught up to this new trend in pitching. And pitchers are going to start to have to pitch again.
I hope so. I really hope that's what happens. Baseball needed an innovation.
Yep.
And this is a great one. This is not going to ruin the game. I think it's great for baseball, quite honestly,
do too.
because if it makes some of these guys be better hitters, to your point, that's going to give them the advantage over the pitcher, and the pitchers are going to have to try to figure it out,
Yes.
catch up.
This isn't like tennis. Tennis innovation destroyed the game.
Technology ruined tennis, and it's led to the rise of what else? Pickleball.
You don't talk about that.
I know, but it's what happened because the rackets, and I've said this for a long time, when everybody's playing golf, we can't hit the ball like Tiger Woods.
Right.
Except once in a while we'll hit that fluke shot around the green that makes us think, oh, that's just like Tiger.
Right.
Not, but we think that way.
Correct.
Tennis, it used to be the same thing. I couldn't hit it as consistently or as hard as a McEnroe or Borg, but every once in a while I'd hit that drop shot and I'd feel like them for 2 seconds. Now, all they do is stand back and hit the ball 150 miles an hour. Nobody can ever do that. You lose the relatability from average players to pros.
Well, it's ping pong now. Not even ping pong. It's what's that game you played back in the day? Pong. Just back and forth, back and forth, back.
It's ridiculous. It's
There's
like
no skill to it anymore. It's just how hard can you hit the ball. Don't get me wrong; these guys are athletes and there's skill to it, but it's not the same that it used to be. Serve and volley is a much more exciting game.
It's not relatable.
No, it's not relatable at all. But back to baseball here, that's not this way with baseball. I think it makes it even more exciting.
Yes, because you're going to see more hitting. It's going to make the game even more relatable because now you're seeing guys, oh, this may work. And I think it'll start funneling down as it always does to college and then to Little League.
Yeah.
We're going to
These
see
bats aren't new. People have been using them in the minors for a while, but
Yeah.
this is the first time people have been comfortable with them and big stars are getting a hold of them, and it's making a major difference. Don't get me wrong. The 9 home runs in a game off the Brewers, that was just the Brewers having a bad day.
Yes. Oh, and
But I do think that the bat had a lot to do with it.
I don't. When Aaron Judge had 3 of them.
Aaron Judge is a freak of nature.
Yes.
Aaron Judge is going to hit home runs anyway.
Yes, he
Aaron
is.
Judge is the point. It was just a bad pitching day. What I'm saying is the bat helped the other guys get home runs off of what may have been doubles.
Did it? Or
Yes.
was it just bad pitching? They were able to get around on the ball.
Don't ruin the fun.
I'm not. I'm being honest about it, and I'm not going to give the bat all this credit 5 games into the season. Talk to me in September.
I will. And we'll talk about how amazing the bats have been and how pitching now has to adjust because pitching is going to have to adjust very, very soon. And in fact, it's coming next season.
Yes, because next season, and I'm the one who is always a traditionalist I didn't want to see electronic balls and strike counts. I love this system because it's a challenge system like everybody's used to.
Yep.
Use it in tennis, use it in football,
Quick tap on the head,
and away we go.
call it a day.
I love-
Unlike what happened on April 1st in 1996, but I'm going to hold on to that thought for now.
Yes. Wow. That was anyways, getting back to this. I love what Terry Francona, speaking of the Reds, has told his team in spring training. He told all of his veterans, don't challenge a thing.
Yes. Because why get used to it?
Right.
It's not going to be here this year.
Not here this
Guys
year.
in the minors that have played with this, let them do the challenge thing. I don't want you guys even thinking about challenging because it's not going to be here this year. Don't get used to it.
And that's showing how brilliant Terry Francona is.
Yeah.
Don't get used to something you can't use in a regular game.
Exactly.
When they have it next year, and it will be in every game next year.
Yeah.
I saw a stat that went in spring training, an average challenge took 13 point something seconds, say 14 seconds.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
When there's only going to be 2, 3, 4 during a game, what are we at in a minute? It won't take that long.
Maybe.
It's going to be a real quick check, ball or strike. Hawkeye will come up. You'll see it on their screen. I only hope that they get rid of the box that's there and only bring it up when they're showing whether it's a ball or strike.
I hope so too. Everybody that watches this show knows how much I hate the box. The strike zone box on television makes the game unwatchable. Absolutely unwatchable because I'm too focused on the box. I'm not focused on the game, and the box is wrong 90% of the time unless they fit that perfect height because they don't change it. So they're saying that's a ball when no, it wasn't. It was a strike, and vice versa. The biggest thing that they're going to have to get used to next year, though, is the strike zone is changing.
And I was just going to, funny you brought that up. The one thing I think that you're going to see ABS change over the years is that strike zone, because right now it looks like it's going to be much lower.
It's going to be belly
much
button
higher.
to knees.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have to adjust it to bring it back up to chest level.
I agree. Yeah, I was always taught nips to knees.
Yeah.
That was always the
pretty much
strike
it.
zone.
Okay, it's supposed to be chest, but then in reality, it was almost mid-calf.
Listen, when I was being
I
trained
know.
in baseball,
I
that's what
know.
I was always
Yes.
told. That's the strike zone. That's what you want to aim for. Belly button to knees, that's another disadvantage to the pitcher. You are shrinking that strike zone by a lot.
And that's why I think they're going to look at ABS and try. I mean, let's face it, it's a mathematical equation that they have to load in so they can have all these different players in there. Aaron Judge is much different than pick a small player.
Yeah, Jose Altuve.
Okay, fine. They're going to have this adjusted. I mean, Aaron Judge is 6'8", so I mean, if they put the box in, it cannot be the same box for every player.
No,
for
it
obvious
can't.
reasons.
And it never has been. Umpires don't call it that way.
No.
They have what they're calling for their strike zone on each player, and that's what the strike zone is. But belly button to knees, with what it's facing right now, that is, I mean, you're just asking the pitcher to throw it in the sweet spot for batters every single time in order to get a called strike. But again, it's a change in baseball that is going to force the pitcher to pitch. Because if you do belly button to knees, you can't just throw fastballs in there anymore. And that's all it's been. Throw as hard as you can every single time. Well, if you're giving me fastballs as fast and hard as you can every single time, and it's from my belly button to my knees, I'm teeing off on that thing every single time. You're going to have to pitch. You're going to have to fake them out with the curveball. You're going to have to get a slider. That circle change is going to have to be a part of it. The fork is going to have to be with it. The cutter is going to have to be with it. You're going to have to learn how to pitch again.
And I want to see these guys have 4, 5 pitches that they can go to.
Pitchers used to need to minimal have 5 pitches.
Yes, and they weren't just planning on staying in until they threw 100 pitches.
No.
They should be out there with the idea, get rid of the pitch count. Get rid of it.
Yep.
These guys are young men in the prime of their life. They can throw 100 pitches.
Stretch them out.
Stretch them out so their thought is, if I get to the 7th inning and I've got a no-hitter going, you're not getting me out. I'm going to go for the
You want
no-hitter.
to build up your muscle. You tire it out to the point of complete fatigue and then push it a little bit more and then rest it, and muscle grows.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's how it works in the gym. That's how it works in sports in general. By you just telling these kids 100 pitches where they haven't fully exhausted their arms and they haven't gotten all their fibers to go, the muscle's not strengthening, and all of a sudden now it's more on the joints, and the joints are weakening, and that's when pitchers get hurt. Am I talking out of my ass? I don't think so, but I'm not a doctor, so I don't
Well,
know. But it's true though. I mean, if you look at simple bodybuilding, right?
Right.
Which is what I partake in, that's what you have to do. You have to get the muscle to the point of fatigue and then push it even farther to get those fibers to rip in order for the muscle to grow. Pitchers have to do the same thing.
Well, and when I was playing tennis and playing ball, you wanted longer muscles.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be big and bulky because they said that slowed you down a little bit. I mean, I worked with a kid in college in the fall when I saw him, or this year before, he was tall and lean. He came back, spent his entire offseason in the gym. Next time I saw him before baseball, he was bulked up and he did not get around as fast. It really hurt him at the plate. These guys need to go out. Look at Steven Strasburg. They didn't let him pitch in a playoff game because they were afraid he was going to get hurt. Guess what happened?
Got hurt anyway.
He got hurt anyways.
I mean, look at Tim Lincecum,
Mhm.
Hall of Fame pitcher.
Not a Hall of Fame
Yes.
pitcher. No.
Two-time Cy Young Award winner Tim Lincecum is a Hall of Fame pitcher.
He is not.
Period.
Been through it
9-year
long
career,
enough.
2 Cy Youngs, World Series MVP,
Nope.
one of the greatest pitchers of his era. He is a Hall of Fame pitcher. But he was
Keep selling.
he had a-
Nobody's buying.
everybody's buying.
Nobody's
and you're
buying.
a moron for thinking anything else. I got you, Timmy Jim. I lost my train of thought.
Good.
Oh, Tim Lincecum, weird stance, weird throwing motion. Let to throw 200 innings right away in his career. Guess what? He was going to get hurt anyway. As he got older, his muscles, you start to get weaker. You use them a lot. He would have gotten hurt anyway, but they let him have the Hall of Fame career that he had.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Fame.
No, he's not.
They let him have the Hall of Fame career that he had, and just he ended up getting hurt towards the end of his career. That's all it is. You got to do these same things with these kids. You got to let them pitch, and if they last, they last. If they don't, they don't. But don't hold them back and take their chances to be great away, because you don't want them to get hurt when we're all genetically disposed to things anyway. Verlander was going to have the career. Scherzer going to have the career. Kerry Wood, with his motions, was doomed to get hurt. It's how it goes.
But Kerry Wood, after he had the surgery, after he came back, was a good reliever, and he
Very
had a
good
long
reliever.
career.
He did.
He was
I think
not
he was
a
in the
Hall
league
of
12 years.
Something like
10,
that.
12
He was,
years?
yeah, he was in over 10 years. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he had a really nice career.
Yeah.
And by the way, he would not trade that career. Give him an extra 5 years. He would not trade that 5 years for that 20 strikeout game on May 6th,
It
1998.
immortalized him.
It forever.
Let these guys pitch, and you're going to have to now. Back to the original thought on this, with the strike zone shrinking from belly button to knees, you're going to have to learn how to pitch, and that's going to get kids to stretch out. It's going to make the pitcher a part of the game again, and baseball will be great once again. That's all that needs to happen with the torpedo bat turning hitting into what it is. Great innovation in baseball. Greatest innovation since the glove, in my opinion. We need more time, but I get excited about things early.
No, it's fine.
And the new strike zone is going to force pitchers to pitch. And if we can have pitchers go complete innings or complete games again, and that's the goal, or at least go 7 or 8, and we can have hitters hitting the way that they are, all of a sudden, baseball is the most entertaining sport in America again.
There's nothing more exciting in my world than a pitcher's duel.
I agree. There's nothing more exciting than a pitcher's duel in anybody's mind.
And I'm not a big fan of Manfred, but his suggestion of making guys go a minimum of 6,
Yes.
great. It's a start.
Correct. I
It'll-
completely agree.
It's going to force these guys to change their mindset, and it's going to force managers to change their mindset and get out of the Craig Counsell mindset where we'll just pitch a different guy every inning.
And a shameless pitch here in the Carney plan. The idea is that you're only allowed one pitcher change during the game, so inside the inning. I can't ever explain this. Help me out here. You're allowed one pitcher change during play for the entire 9-inning game.
Correct.
That's all you're allowed.
You can change them at the end of the inning if you want to.
Correct.
But why would you want to?
Right, but in the middle of gameplay, you can only do it once in a game, and it brings back that chess piece. And again, you're going to force guys to go longer. It's going to make you really think about what you have to do. It brings people back into playing manager again, like it used to in the National League when you had to decide. One of the greatest moments in baseball history is when Travis Wood, they wanted him to pitch the next inning, but they didn't want him hitting in the spot he was in. So they put him in the outfield and made one of the greatest catches in Cubs history, and then comes back and pitches. I miss that being in baseball, and that would bring it back again.
And I'm going to put in another shameless plug for our plan. It is time to take it from having 3 5-team divisions and take it to having 5 3-team divisions.
Yes.
Let's blow it up. They're both playing softball in both leagues now with the DH. Let's make this so it's a nationalized sport. You're going to have to watch what's going on the West if you're on the East Coast, because there's only 3 teams and you have to win your division to get into the playoffs.
Yes, we need to make the Red Hats, MBGA, make baseball great again. It is on the way to happening, and the Torpedo Bats and the new strike zone, I think, are going to make it a better sport.
Well, the new strike zone is going to be an advantage to the hitters. It's no doubt.
Huge advantage, which means the pitchers are going to have to pitch again. It's going to force it. I love that, but these guys are making a lot of money, so they'll figure it out.
Speaking of making a lot of money, by the way, we are both so terrible on our picks this year for the NCAA tournament.
Well, I'm at 33%.
You're doing better than me.
But my bracket is not as crazy as what happened on April 1st, 1996 with the Reds on opening day.
We'll talk about that in a minute. The Final Four is set. Only the second time in history, all 4 number ones are there.
First time since 2008.
Yes. I'm going to make a theorize.
Okay.
NIL is starting to have a lot of influence on this, because guys who get paid more, they're going to the bigger schools. The number 1 seeds are getting more of these guys, and that's what we're seeing.
It's not true at all. It's not true at all.
Prove it to me.
Look at this graph here. If you look at this graph, the top team in NIL was Kentucky. Second was Duke.
Kentucky was a fluke.
If you look at the rest of them, though, look at this. Auburn, kind of towards the top. Houston is tied with Wisconsin in what they spent.
I'm surprised Wisconsin is so high.
They paid that one kid a lot of money to come. And then the Gators, who are the other 1 seed, they're just above $8 million, tied with Clemson and Iowa State, Mississippi State, Georgia, North Carolina, Xavier, Creighton spent more than Florida in NIL. So it's not true at all. A lot of these guys that spent money didn't make it that far. Marquette spent almost $18 million, and they were out in the first round.
Duke spent a ton of money.
Duke did. Duke is the exception to the rule. But if you look at everybody else, I mean, you have Auburn, Tennessee, Michigan State, Texas Tech. They all spent a lot, and they made it deep into the run.
Louisville paid a lot of money. They didn't have a deep run.
They did not. Baylor, Texas, they didn't have a deep run. Arkansas spent a lot. They had a decent run. They just got caught in a bad situation. Xavier didn't have a deep run. BYU spent as much as Houston did, and they were out in the second round.
I will say this, and you're right. However, the NCAA or whatever governing body ends up being has got to get a hold on this.
They do.
Because I don't mind. NIL is here to stay. Originally, when they were talking about getting the players, it was trying to get them walking around money, pocket cash, get them paid if their jersey is sold. Back when Ron Dane played for Wisconsin, pay him if his jersey is selling, not just go all to the universities. It's getting silly now. People have NIL departments now where they're going out and trying to raise money. I actually saw an ad where there's a new app out there where if your favorite team is Ohio State, you can actually donate $5, $10, whatever you want. And if that guy goes to that university, that money goes to that player.
Yeah, Oklahoma State had barcodes on their helmet that you could scan from the TV that would donate to the NIL program. I'm not donating anything to these schools that make all this money. What I will say for you in the NIL argument, by the way, one team that's not even on here because they didn't make the tournament is Rutgers, and they had 2 of the top 15 highest players in the nation on their team. And so, again, an argument against it. But what shocks me with this, if you go down to the 16th, 15th, 14th seeds.
All on the low end.
All on the low end, but all of them spent more than $1 million on players.
And you've got the discrepancy goes, what is this? Some player, you've got the $1 million up to, what is it, 22, 23 million?
24.
$24 million for Kentucky.
Kentucky spent over $24 million on
way
players.
Too big a discrepancy.
Forget the discrepancy.
You
How
gotta-
are these small schools spending $1 million on
Because
players?
they all have boosters.
That's what's insane to me.
Yes.
Is that in order to make it to a tournament, you got to spend $1 million to $2 million on players minimum.
Right. And that's my
That's
problem.
nuts.
That's my problem with it. And that's the whole point. They've got to get control of this, because if they don't, they're going to lose control of their sport. Now everybody's talking about how much their college team is making, instead of talking about, oh, this guy's going to school for engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NFL. It's truly a minor leagues for
sure.
for the NBA and the
It
NFL
has
right
been
now.
for a long time. I mean, let's not pretend it's anything different, but that's what boggled my mind looking at this graph, is that seeing these schools that are 16th seeds, they're in small conferences that nobody pays attention to or even have heard of half the time, and they are still spending millions of dollars on players. Look at Yale. Yale spent almost $2 million on players. Yale spent $2 million. The academic school spent $2 million on athletes. The school that doesn't give out athletic scholarships, by the way, spent $2 million on players.
They did, and we've talked about this. I want to get it back to, at least, you call it shamateurism. I mean, it's a sham what these guys are doing. It's not amateur anymore at all. These guys are all making money.
Did you just make up that word?
No, shamateurism was around, and I'm not saying it correctly either, but they used it in the Olympics because it was supposed to be all amateur. And yet you had East Germany and Russia, or USSR back in the day, had nothing but professionals. That's why the 80 hockey team was such a miracle, because they beat professional hockey
Do you know
players.
kids today have no idea what the USSR is?
Back in the USSR?
Yeah, nobody knows that song either.
No, everybody knows that song. It's a Beatles song.
Doesn't mean everybody knows it.
Everybody knows Beatles songs because they are the greatest band to ever be on.
Right place, right time. But back to the NIL, it's crazy to me that these guys are spending this much money on players, even the smaller schools, just to compete.
I don't disagree with that. They've got to address it. It's somehow, some way, and you've got to figure a way to put the genie back in the bottle a little bit.
I mean, the problem is, though, if you do a salary cap, right, it still is going to end up hurting the little schools. Say you put the salary cap at $15 million. That's all you can play. I mean, these schools, then again, what am I saying? These small schools are paying $1 million already on players.
And on top of that, it's going to basketball players, football players.
Because what is it, $22 million total now starting next year?
I have no idea.
Spend on players?
Are the swimmers getting any of this? Are the wrestlers getting any of this? Of course not.
I mean, they get the chance to. What I loved about NIL, and I said this from the word go, is I remember Missy Franklin.
Oh, Missy Franklin.
Missy Franklin was 15 years old, won 2 or 3 gold medals, and had to make a choice. Do I capitalize and make millions off of my name, image, and likeness, or do I get my full ride to Stanford and go to school?
Right.
She chose to go to Stanford for school and then got hurt when swimming at college and was never the same swimmer again. So she missed her chance to capitalize. I always thought that was a joke. She should have been able to capitalize off her success and then still go to school.
Yes.
And so when this came about, she's who I thought of. She's still who I think of in this
She is
situation.
a definition of what NIL should be for.
Correct. But it didn't turn into that. It's a recruiting tool now. And the genie, like you said, genie's out of the bottle, cat's out of the bag, whatever fun phrase you want to use, it's done.
You got to figure a way to put it partially back together.
What do you do?
I don't know. But, well, I think part of it's going to take the NCAA to get out of the business of sports, have new leagues, at least for football and basketball. You're talking about the big schools. At least then they can make some rules around this so that it's not just the Wild Wild West, which is what we have now.
Or just make them clubs not associated with the school. That's what they do in England. They have soccer clubs, but they're not associated with the education part of the school. And they don't pay their athletes because, it's about education. You want to go pro, go pro.
Right.
And I think that's the same thing you have to have here. I think not letting kids go from high school to the pros is a bad idea. Because, again, it's led to this. Cooper Flagg, right? He's going to go right to the pros after this. He's one and done. Has he been to a class? I don't know. I know some players never went to a class because by the time you get suspended for academics, you're already gone.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make a difference. So it's a joke situation. Let these guys go play pro if they want to.
1996.
But at this point, you can make just as much money going to college that you can going to the show. I said show. You threw me off. It's my bad.
Baseball.
I'm going to give up. Anyway, you let us know what you think in the comments below, and while you're down there, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making
So
it.
we've been teasing 1996.
April 1st.
It was a sad day, but it was a dichotomy because in one ballpark, you had somebody handle a situation completely wrong and look like a fool. And you had another one who proved that he was not only a Hall of Famer on the field, he was a Hall of Famer as a person.
Do tell, sir. Do tell.
April 1st, 1996, the Cincinnati Reds are having opening day. 7 pitches into the game, umpire John McSherry has a heart attack. He tries to get up. He singles. He's trying to walk off the field. He had a known heart condition. He dies right then and there as he was trying to get off the field. Marge Schott, the umpires said, look, give us 30 minutes and we'll play. Marge Schott is up there calling the league president saying, we've got to keep playing. We have 50,000 fans here. They're going to be cheated. This should not stop the game. Barry Larkin, Hall of Fame shortstop, came up and said, we're not playing. This gentleman died. And I've had a lot of deaths in my family. It's not fair. The umpires shouldn't be forced to work after something like this happened. Marge Schott looked like an idiot, had to come up with an apology afterwards.
Owner of the Cincinnati Reds, by the way, is who that is.
Well known, not a great person. Barry Larkin, on the other hand, is a hero in this situation.
Yep. Umpires came out to give us a half an hour. We'll be ready to go. And Barry Larkin said, go home.
Yeah. Go home and
we're done now. John McSherry was 51 years old when he passed away on the field, doing what he loved. Was supposed to go to the hospital that day to get his heart checked out.
And he said, no, it's opening day. I'm going to umpire.
I'm going to umpire.
Sad story. Second time I know of that somebody died on the field. The other guy was back in the 20s when he was actually hit with a ball.
Changed from the dead ball era to the live ball era. The actual reason that it was changed, which I just learned this a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That was the reason.
But
it is the anniversary on April 1st.
John McSherry, rest in peace. Barry Larkin is a class act. If for no other reason, I want Orlando to get the Tampa Bay Rays because Barry Larkin's involved with the Orlando team.
Yeah.
Good guys should be rewarded for doing good things.
100% agree. You and I have had a great show, but as you all know, you cannot have a conversation with your dad without your father getting the last word. So it is all you.
You said the dumbest thing I've ever heard when you were trying to run down the greatest band of all time in the Beatles. More number ones than anybody else. You had McCartney, you had John Lennon, the greatest writing duo, and oh, by the way, you had another great writer in George Harrison, and the most underrated drummer of all time, all in one band. The Beatles are, in fact, the greatest band to have ever played, and that was dumb for you to say.
I knew as soon as I said it, that was going to be your last word. I saw the look in your eyes. Just remember, they had to replace John McCartney or Paul McCartney.
No, they did not. He did not die. God.
Thank you so much, as always, for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.